Captain Lee Dae-ho stood in the dark tunnel, his breath making small clouds in the cold air. The mining station on Kepler 442b was always cold. The alien overseers liked it that way. They said it made humans work harder. Dae-ho looked at his watch. 3 minutes until the next patrol. He had been planning this moment for 2 years. His hands shook, but not from the cold. Today, everything would change. The transmission device was hidden behind a loose rock in the tunnel wall. Dae-ho had built it from scraps of mining equipment. The aliens thought humans were too stupid to understand their technology. They were wrong about many things. "Eagle Nest, this is Sparrow," he whispered into the device. "Do you copy?" Static filled his ears for a moment. Then a voice came through, clear and strong. "We copy, Sparrow. This is Eagle Nest. Dr. Park has the information you requested." Dae-ho's heart raced. Dr. Park Hye-jin was the smartest person he knew. She worked in the research facility on Europa, one of Jupiter's moons. For months, she had been studying something the aliens didn't want humans to see. "Tell me," Dae-ho said. "The debt is paid," came the reply. "According to galactic law, humanity is free. But that's not the best part. Dae-ho, they've been lying to us about everything." Footsteps echoed in the tunnel. The patrol was coming early. Dae-ho quickly hid the device and picked up his mining tool. A tall, gray alien with 4 arms walked past him. Its large black eyes looked at Dae-ho with disgust. "Work faster, human," the alien said in broken English. "The quota must be met." "Yes, Overseer," Dae-ho replied, keeping his voice flat. The alien moved on. Dae-ho waited until it was gone, then pulled out the device again. "I'm back," he whispered. "What did you find?" Dr. Park's voice was excited. "The historical records, Dae-ho. Earth's real history. The aliens have been watching us for thousands of years. They've been stopping our progress, making us think we're primitive." "What do you mean?" "Every time humans made a big discovery, they interfered. They caused wars, disasters, anything to keep us from advancing. They were afraid of what we might become." Dae-ho felt anger burning in his chest. "Afraid of us? Why?" "Because human brains are different. We can solve problems they can't. We can think in ways that scare them. So they kept us as slaves, told us we owed them money for uplifting us to space travel. But the debt is really paid? More than paid. According to their own laws, we've worked off everything they claimed we owed, plus interest. We're free, Dae-ho. Legally free." Dae-ho closed. His eyes free. The word felt strange after so many years of slavery. "There's more," Dr. Park continued. "I found the location of something they've been hiding from us. A facility on the dark side of the moon. It contains technology they took from Earth centuries ago. Our technology." "How is that possible?" "Humans were more advanced than they told us. Much more advanced. They stole our inventions and then made us forget we ever created them." The device crackled with another voice. "Commander Yoon Tae-min, speaking from a hidden base in the asteroid belt." "Dae-ho, are you getting this?" "I'm here, Commander." "We've been monitoring alien communications. Word is spreading about the debt situation. Some of the consortium leaders are panicking. They know what happens when humans are legally free." "What happens?" "We stop playing by their rules. And they remember why they were afraid of us in the first place." Dae-ho heard more footsteps. This patrol was larger. Multiple. Aliens walking together. Something was wrong. "I have to go," he whispered. "They're coming." "Wait," Dr. Park's voice was urgent. "One more thing. The facility on the moon, it's not just storing our old technology. It's storing something else. Something they're terrified we'll find." "What?" "Weapons, Dae-ho. Human weapons that they couldn't figure out how to use. Weapons that were built with human minds, for human hands." The footsteps were getting closer. Dae-ho quickly shut off the device and hid it again. He grabbed his mining tool and started working on the tunnel wall, trying to look busy. 5 aliens rounded the corner. Their leader was different from the others. bigger, with red markings on its gray skin. Daeho had never seen this one before. "Human Lee Daeho," the alien said. Its voice was deeper than the others. "Yes, Overseer, you will come with us. Now." Daeho's mind raced. Did they know about the transmission? Had they been listening? "Is there a problem?" he asked. "There is. Always a problem with humans," the alien replied. "But today, the problem is bigger." They led him through the tunnels to the main elevator. As they rose toward the surface, Daeho could see other humans being gathered from different parts of the mine. His friend Kim So-ra was there, along with dozens of others. The elevator reached the surface station. Through the windows, Daeho could see ships in the sky. Not the usual transport vessels, but military ships. The consortium was mobilizing. "Attention. All humans," a voice announced over the speakers. "New work assignments are being issued. Your debt has been recalculated." Daeho felt cold fear in his stomach. They knew. Somehow the aliens had learned that the debt was paid, and they were changing the rules. But as he looked around at his fellow humans, he saw something different in their eyes. Not fear, but anger. Word was spreading, even here. People were beginning to understand the truth. The alien overseer pushed Daeho toward a transport ship. "You will work in the deep mines on Proxima Centauri, the cold ones. Humans last longer there." As they forced him onto the ship, Daeho caught the eye of engineer Kim So-ra. She gave him a small nod. She had heard the transmission, too. The message was spreading. The ship lifted off, carrying its cargo of human prisoners toward another world, another mine, another lie. But this time was different. This time, the humans knew the truth. The debt was paid. The chains were broken, even if the aliens didn't want to admit it. And somewhere in the darkness of space, on hidden bases and secret facilities, humans were beginning to remember who they really were. The galaxy was about to learn a hard lesson about keeping humanity down. Some debts once paid could never be collected again. 3 weeks after the transport ship took Captain Lee Daeho away, something strange began happening across the galaxy. Human workers on mining stations started asking questions, simple questions that made their alien overseers nervous. On Europa Station, Dr. Park Hye-jin sat in her small research lab, staring at data that should not exist. The aliens had given her access to historical records to help with mining efficiency calculations. They thought she would just look at numbers and charts. They were wrong. Hidden in the data files were fragments of Earth's real history, pictures of human cities that existed thousands of years ago, but looked more advanced than anything humans were supposed to have built. Documents written in languages that predated known human civilization, but contained mathematical formulas that were centuries ahead of current alien science. "Impossible," she whispered to herself. Her assistant, a young human named Kang Yu-jin, looked up from his computer terminal. "What's impossible, Doctor?" "These calculations. Look at this." She showed him the screen. "This is a formula for faster-than-light travel, but it's written in ancient Korean. How could humans from thousands of years ago know things about space travel that the aliens are still trying to figure out?" Yu-jin leaned closer. He was good with computers, better than most humans the aliens had ever seen. Sometimes that made the overseers suspicious, but Yu-jin was careful to hide how much he really understood. "Doctor, I've been finding strange things too. In the computer networks, files that are locked away marked as classified. But I found a way to look at them without the aliens knowing." Park's eyes widened. "Show me." Yu-jin's fingers moved quickly over the keyboard. Lines of code flashed across the screen, too fast for most people to follow. But Park was not most people. "There," Yu-jin said. "These are communication logs from the consortium leadership. They're talking about something called the human problem." Park read the alien text, her translation software working overtime. The more she read, the more frightened she became. Not frightened of the aliens, but frightened of what they had done to humanity. "They've been drugging us," she said quietly. "What?" "The food, the water, even the air in human colonies. They've been putting chemicals in everything to slow down our brain development, to make us forget, to make us think we're stupid. Eugene!" Stop typing. "For how long?" "Centuries. Maybe longer." Park scrolled through more files. "Look at this. Medical reports on human children born in space. The aliens have been scanning their brains, looking for signs of what they call dangerous intelligence development." "What did they do to the smart kids?" Park didn't answer right away. When she did, her voice was barely a whisper. "They took them away. Said they were sick. Sent them to special facilities." At that moment, alarms began sounding throughout the station. Red lights flashed in the corridors. Park and Eugene looked at each other with growing fear. "Attention all humans," came an announcement in the alien language, followed by a rough translation. "Return to your quarters immediately. Station lockdown is now in effect." But instead of going to their quarters, Park and Eugene ran deeper into the research facility. They needed to find the communication equipment. They needed to contact the resistance. Meanwhile, in the outer solar system, Admiral Choi Min-ho stood on the bridge of a ship that officially did not exist. The Earth Remnant fleet had been building vessels in secret for decades, hiding them in the asteroid belt and behind the moons of Jupiter and Saturn. "Admiral," his communications officer reported, "we're receiving scattered messages from human colonies across 17 star systems. The aliens are implementing emergency lockdowns everywhere." "They know," Min-ho said grimly. "Word is getting out about the debt and they're panicking." Captain Nam Ji-woo, commander of the fleet's newest stealth ship, stepped forward. "Admiral, my ship is ready for deployment. Give me a target." Min-ho looked at the star charts displayed on the bridge screens. Red markers showed human colonies under lockdown. Yellow markers showed consortium military bases, and blue markers showed something the aliens didn't know existed: hidden human facilities. "Your target is Europa Station," Min-ho said. "Dr. Park and her team have critical information, but they're trapped. Get them out." "Yes, sir." "How much stealth do you want me to maintain?" Min-ho smiled, and it was not a pleasant smile. "None. I want them to see you coming. I want them to wonder how humans built a ship that their sensors can't properly track." On Europa Station, Park and Eugene had reached the communication room. But they were not alone. Standing at the transmitter was another human. Someone Park recognized from the worker files. "Engineer Kim So-ra?" Park said, surprised. The woman turned around. She was older than Park, with grease stains on her clothes and burn marks on her hands from working with dangerous machinery. But her eyes were sharp and alert. "Dr. Park, I was hoping you'd make it here." So-ra gestured to the communication equipment she had been modifying. "I've been making some improvements to this alien junk. How did you escape the lockdown?" So-ra smiled. "The aliens think they understand human psychology. They think we panic when they lock us up. They're wrong. We get creative." She showed them what she had done to the transmitter. Using spare parts from mining equipment and research tools, she had boosted its power and range far beyond what the aliens thought was possible. "I've been in contact with resistance cells on 12 different worlds," So-ra said. "The word is spreading faster than the aliens can stop it. Humans are waking up, Doctor. Really waking up." Eugene was staring at So-ra's modifications. "This is impossible. This should not work." "That's what the aliens keep saying about everything we do," So-ra replied. "Maybe the problem isn't that it's impossible. Maybe the problem is that they don't understand how human minds work." Park felt a chill that had nothing to do with the cold station air. What if that's the point? What if that's why they've been keeping us drugged and isolated? Not just to control us, but to keep us from figuring out what we're really capable of? The communication device crackled to life. A voice came through speaking in accented English. Europa Station, this is Commander Yoon Tai-min of the Human Liberation Network. We're tracking consortium fleet movements. They're mobilizing everything they have. Sora grabbed the microphone. Commander, this is Engineer Kim Sora. We have critical intelligence. The aliens have been chemically suppressing human brain development for centuries. But Dr. Park has found evidence that humans were originally much more advanced than anyone realized. How advanced? Park took the microphone. Advanced enough that the aliens were afraid of us. Advanced enough that they had to sabotage our entire species to keep us under control. There was silence on the channel for a moment. Then Commander Yoon's voice came back, and it sounded different. Harder. Doctor, are you saying that humans are naturally smarter than the aliens? I'm saying that humans think differently. In ways that scare them. In ways that let us solve problems they can't solve. Then it's time to stop pretending to be their slaves, Yoon said, because I have news for you. Captain Nam's stealth ship is about to dock with your station, and when you see what humans can build when we're not being held back, you're going to understand why the aliens have been so afraid. Through the station windows, Park could see a shape approaching. It was sleek and dark, moving in ways that seemed to ignore the basic laws of physics. As it got closer, she could see that it was beautiful in a way that alien ships never were. It looked like it had been designed by minds that understood both science and art. My God, Yujin whispered. We built that? We built that, Sora confirmed. And if the rumors are true, it's just the beginning. The ship docked with Europa Station with barely a sound. Within minutes, armed humans in strange, advanced armor were moving through the corridors. But they weren't there to fight. They were there to liberate, and as Park watched them work, she realized that everything was about to change. The galaxy was about to learn what humans could do when they stopped being afraid. Dr. Seo Dong-wook had never seen anything like it. In the hidden facility beneath Luna's surface, humans were working with technology that seemed to bend the rules of reality itself. The rescue mission to Europa Station had brought back more than just Dr. Park and her team. It had brought back proof that everything they thought they knew about physics was wrong. Show me again, Dong-wook said to Dr. Park. They stood in a laboratory that had been carved out of the moon's rock, hidden from alien sensors by layers of advanced shielding. Park held up a small device, no bigger than her hand. This is what we found in the alien database. Plans for a quantum computer. But look at the design specifications. Dong-wook studied the holographic display. The technology was incredibly advanced, but something about it seemed familiar. This looks almost like human neural patterns. Exactly. The aliens have been trying to build computers that think like human brains. But they can't make it work. Their minds are too rigid, too logical. They can't handle the chaos and creativity that makes human thinking special. Across the laboratory, Engineer Kim So-ra was working with a team of humans who had been secretly gathered from colonies across the galaxy. They were building something that had never existed before. A human warship designed by human minds for human crews. The armor plating is ready, So-ra called out. But I still don't understand how it works. Captain Lim Hanul, the ship's designated commander, walked over to examine their work. She was a pilot who had spent years flying alien transport ships, always wondering why they felt so clumsy and slow. Now she was beginning to understand. It's not just armor, Hanel said, running her hand over the smooth, dark surface. It's learning. The material adapts to whatever hits it. The aliens could never build this because they can't think in multiple dimensions at once. Dr. Dong-wook joined them, his eyes wide with excitement. We're not just building a ship. We're building an extension of the human mind. The neural interfaces I've been developing will let the crew control it like it's part of their own body. Sora looked worried. Is that safe? Connecting human brains directly to a machine? It's not just safe, Dong-wook replied. It's natural. Human brains were designed to interface with technology. The aliens have been keeping us away from our own potential for centuries. In another part of the facility, Agent Bae Sung-min was reviewing intelligence reports from deep within Consortium space. He had spent 5 years undercover, pretending to be a loyal human servant to a high-ranking alien official. What he had learned in that time was terrifying. "Commander Yoon," he said into his encrypted communicator, "the Consortium Council is meeting an emergency session. They're talking about something called the final solution to the human problem." Commander Yoon's voice came back tense with worry. "What kind of solution?" "Complete elimination. They want to sterilize every human colony, claim it was a plague, make it look like an accident." "When?" "Soon. Maybe days." "They're scared, Commander. Really scared. Some of the council members are saying that free humans represent an existential threat to galactic civilization." Yoon was quiet for a moment. When he spoke again, his voice was cold as space. "Then we need to show them what an existential threat actually looks like." Back in the laboratory, Dr. Park was making a discovery that would change everything. Deep in the alien databases, she had found files that were older than human recorded history, files that told the true story of humanity's place in the galaxy. "Everyone needs to see this," she announced. The entire research team gathered around her workstation. On the screen was an image that took their breath away. Earth, as seen from space, but not the Earth they knew. This Earth had cities that sparkled like jewels, ships that moved between the stars, and technology that made the aliens' best efforts look primitive. "This is Earth 20,000 years ago," Park said quietly. "Before the aliens found us." "Engineer." Sora stared at the image. "We were already spacefaring? Already had advanced technology?" "More than that. We were the most advanced species in the galaxy. The aliens were still crawling around on their home planets when humans were exploring distant star systems." Dr. Dong-wook felt pieces clicking together in his mind. That's why the neural interfaces work so well. That's why human brains can handle quantum computing. We evolved alongside advanced technology. It's literally part of who we are. "So what happened?" Captain Hanul asked. "How did we end up as slaves?" Park scrolled through more files, her face grim. "War. But not the kind you'd expect. The aliens couldn't defeat us militarily. Instead, they used biological weapons, viruses, that affected human brain chemistry, made us forget our technology, made us regress to a primitive state. And then they swooped in as our saviors," Sora said bitterly. "Offered to uplift us to space travel when we had already been traveling. The stars for thousands of years." Agent Sung-min's voice crackled over the communicator again. All stations. All stations. The Consortium fleet is moving. Massive mobilization heading toward the Sol system. They're not waiting for council approval. They're going to try to destroy Earth." Commander Yoon's response was immediate. "All human ships. This is Eagle 1. Operation Homecoming is now active. Repeat, Operation Homecoming is active." Across the hidden facility, alarms began sounding. But these were not emergency alarms. They were signals that everyone had been waiting to hear. The signal to stop hiding. Captain Hanul ran to her ship, the first human dreadnought to be built in 20,000 years. Her crew was already at their stations, neural interfaces activated, minds linked to the ship's quantum computer systems. "All systems online," reported her navigation officer. "Quantum drive ready for activation." "Weapon systems armed and ready," called out the tactical officer. "Adaptive armor is learning from sensor data about consortium ship designs." Hanul settled into the command chair and felt the neural interface connect with her mind. Suddenly, she could feel the entire ship as if it were her own body. Every sensor was like an eye, every weapon like a hand, every engine like a muscle. "This is the debt collector," she announced over the comm channel. "We are ready for departure." In the depths of space, the Consortium fleet was massive. Hundreds of ships, representing dozens of different alien species, all united in their desire to destroy humanity once and for all. Their weapons could crack planets, their shields could deflect the light of stars, but they had never faced human technology, real human technology. The debt collector appeared in the middle of their formation without warning, quantum drive allowing it to materialize from nowhere. The alien ships immediately opened fire, enough firepower to destroy a small moon. The beams and missiles struck the human ship and simply disappeared. The adaptive armor absorbed the energy, learned from it, became stronger. Within seconds, the debt collector was not just protected from consortium weapons. It was immune to them. Impossible, breathed the consortium admiral on his flagship. How can they have technology we've never seen? His science officer was checking and rechecking the sensor readings. Admiral, the energy signatures, they're not using any known physics. It's like they're operating under completely different natural laws. Open a channel to the human ship, the admiral ordered. On the debt collector, Captain Hanul smiled as the alien communication came through. She could feel her crew's excitement through the neural link. After centuries of slavery, they were finally free to show what humans could really do. "This is Captain Lim Hanul of the Human Liberation Fleet," she said calmly. "You are trespassing in human space. You have 30 seconds to retreat." "Human space?" the alien admiral sputtered. "You are slaves! You own nothing!" "We paid our debt," Hanul replied. "All of it. With interest. According to your own laws, we are free. And free humans have rights you've forgotten we possess." "We don't recognize your freedom. We make the laws." Hanul's smile grew wider. "Not anymore." The debt collector moved faster than thought, its quantum drives allowing it to be in multiple places at once. Consortium ships found their weapon systems failing, their shields collapsing, their engines going dead. But none of them were destroyed. None of their crews were killed. Instead, they were simply disabled, left floating helplessly in space while human ships appeared around them, ships that moved like living things and fought like nothing the galaxy had ever seen. "This is impossible," the alien admiral whispered. "This is humanity," Captain Hanul corrected him. "Welcome to our galaxy." General Oh Kyung-soo stood in the command center of the human flagship, watching displays that showed the galaxy burning, not with fire and destruction, but with change. Across hundreds of star systems, alien governments were collapsing as their own people learned what the consortium had been hiding from them. "General," his communications officer reported, "we're receiving surrender requests from 17 different species. They want to join the human alliance." "And how many consortium worlds are left fighting?" Kyung-soo asked. 43 major. "Systems, sir. But our intelligence suggests that number is dropping every hour." Dr. Ryu Mi-young looked up from her psychological analysis station. She had been studying alien behavior patterns for months, trying to understand how different species would react when they learned the truth about human capabilities. "General, the fear response is spreading faster than we anticipated," she said. "When aliens see what human technology can do, they don't just feel defeated. They feel like their entire understanding of reality has been proven wrong." Kyung-soo nodded grimly. "And scared beings make dangerous decisions." On the screens around them, tactical displays showed human fleets moving through consortium space. But these were not invasions. They were liberation missions. Captain Shin Woo-jin's Ghost Division ships appeared and disappeared at will, their stealth technology so advanced that alien sensors couldn't even detect them when they were firing weapons. Report from Ghost Leader, the communications officer, announced, "Captain Shin has successfully disabled the defense grid around the consortium capital world. No casualties on either side." "How is that possible?" asked Dr. Mi-young. The answer came from Captain Shin himself, his voice crackling over the long-range communicator. "Doctor, we're not destroying their systems. We're improving them. Human computer viruses don't just shut down alien networks. They upgrade them, make them more efficient, and then put them under human control." You're hacking entire planetary defense systems? Kyung-soo asked. It's more than hacking, General. When human minds interface with alien computers, we can think faster than their systems can respond. We're not breaking into their networks. We're simply thinking ourselves inside. Dr. Mi-young shook her head in amazement. No wonder they're terrified. We're not just defeating them militarily. We're proving that their technology is primitive compared to what humans can do. On the planet below, something unprecedented was happening. Alien civilians were watching human ships in their skies, ships that moved like living creatures and performed maneuvers that seemed to ignore physics. But instead of attacking, the human ships were broadcasting messages in every known language. Citizens of all species, the message said, you have been lied to by your governments. Humans are not primitive slaves. We are your equals, and we offer you partnership instead of domination. In the consortium Capitol building, emergency meetings were happening around the clock. High-ranking officials from dozens of species were arguing about how to respond to the human threat. They've taken 40 systems without firing a shot, complained the Zephyrian ambassador. Our own populations are joining them voluntarily. Because they're offering them better technology, replied the Vorthan representative. Human improvements to our industrial systems have increased productivity by 300%. Our people have never been more prosperous. The consortium's supreme chancellor, an ancient creature from a species that had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years, looked around the room with growing desperation. Don't you understand what's happening? He said. Humans aren't just winning this war. They're making it obsolete. They're creating a galaxy where war itself becomes impossible. How? Asked the Andromedan delegate. Because they're making everyone too prosperous and too advanced to want to fight. When every species has access to human technology, when everyone's standard of living improves dramatically, what reason is there for conflict? In orbit around Earth, Admiral Yang In-suk was preparing for the final phase of the liberation. The planet that had been humanity's prison for so long was about to become the center of a new galactic civilization. Admiral, her science officer, reported, we're detecting massive energy buildup in the outer system. The consortium is bringing in their planet-killer weapons. Yang smiled grimly. They're going to try to destroy Earth rather than let humans control it. Should we intercept them? No, let them come. It's time to show the galaxy what happens when someone threatens the human homeworld. The consortium fleet that appeared at the edge of the solar system was the largest military force ever assembled. Ships the size of moons, weapons that could boil oceans, shields that could deflect supernovas. They had come to commit genocide, to erase humanity from existence. But as they approached Earth, something impossible happened. The planet's defensive systems activated, revealing themselves for the first time in 20,000 years. By the void, whispered the consortium fleet commander as his sensors showed him what surrounded Earth. Those aren't defensive satellites. Those are cities. Floating cities with populations in the billions. Dr. Ryu Mi-young's voice came over the communication channel from the human flagship. Commander, you're looking at human civilization as it really exists. What you thought was Earth's population of 8 billion, that was just the people living. On the surface, the real human population is over 200 billion, living in orbital habitats that have been hidden from alien sensors for centuries. Impossible! Nothing is impossible for humans, replied Admiral Yang's voice. We've been preparing for this day since your species first enslaved us. Did you really think we would just wait helplessly for you to decide our fate? The consortium weapons fired. Enough destructive power to crack a planet in half. The beams struck Earth's defensive grid and simply stopped. Not deflected, not absorbed, but stopped as if they had hit something that existed outside normal space-time. What is that defense system? The alien commander demanded. It's not a defense system, Yang replied calmly. It's a demonstration. Human technology doesn't just protect, it transforms. Every shot you fire at Earth makes our defenses stronger and your weapons weaker. Around the consortium fleet, human ships began appearing. Not the advanced vessels they had seen before, but something entirely new. Ships that seemed to be made of pure energy, vessels that moved through dimensions the aliens couldn't even perceive. Captain Lee Dae-ho's voice came over the communication channel. He had been rescued from the prison transport weeks earlier, and now he commanded one of the new quantum ships. Consortium Fleet, this is Captain Lee Dae-ho. You made a mistake coming here. You thought you were attacking a helpless world. Instead, you've given us an excuse to show you what human civilization really looks like when we stop hiding. The space around Earth transformed. What had looked like empty vacuum revealed itself to be filled with structures so vast and complex that alien minds couldn't process them. Orbital rings around the planet that housed billions of people. Manufacturing facilities that could build entire fleets in hours. Research stations where humans were working on technologies that the aliens had never even dreamed of. This is our home, Admiral Yang announced. This is what you tried to destroy, and now you understand why your ancestors were so afraid of us. The consortium commander's ship was surrounded by human vessels, but no weapons were being fired. Instead, the aliens found their communication systems being gently taken over, their computers being upgraded, their life support systems being improved. "What are you doing to us?" the commander asked, fear clear in his voice. "We're helping you," replied Captain Dae-ho. "Because that's what humans do, even to our enemies. We solve problems, we improve things, we make life better for everyone. But we came here to destroy you, and we're going to send you home to tell your people what you learned, that humans don't want to rule the galaxy. We want to fix it." Dr. Mi Young's psychological analysis was being proven correct across the entire consortium fleet. The aliens weren't just being defeated. They were being shown a vision of what the galaxy could become under human guidance. A place where technology served all species, where conflicts were resolved through cooperation instead of force, where the strong protected the weak instead of exploiting them. "This is impossible," the consortium commander whispered. "Your species was primitive. We uplifted you. We gave you space travel." "You gave us nothing," Yang replied. "You stole our technology, erased our history, and enslaved our people. But now the debt is paid and the truth is revealed. The galaxy belongs to whoever can best take care of it. And you think that's humans?" "We don't think it," Captain Dae-ho said. "We're proving it. One world at a time, one species at a time, one act of kindness at a time." The consortium fleet began to withdraw, their crews too stunned to continue fighting. They had come expecting to commit genocide. Instead, they had learned that their victims were more advanced, more powerful, and more compassionate than anything they had ever encountered. As the alien ships disappeared into hyperspace, carrying word of humanity's true nature back to the far corners of the galaxy, Earth's hidden cities emerged fully into normal space. The homeworld revealed itself as it truly was, not just a planet, but the beating heart of a civilization that spanned dimensions. 2 years after the consortium's failed attack on Earth, President Ko Jae-sung stood before the newly constructed Galactic Assembly. Representatives from over 300 species filled the vast chamber, their differences in biology, culture, and thought patterns creating a symphony of diversity that would have been impossible under the old system. "Friends," Jae-sung began, his words being translated into hundreds of languages simultaneously. "When humans first achieved our freedom, many of you feared what we would do with our power. You thought we would seek revenge. You thought we would become the new oppressors." In the audience, former consortium leaders sat alongside representatives from species that had been enslaved for millennia. The Zephyrians, who had once been proud masters of trade routes, now worked as partners with human economic advisors. The Vorthons, whose military might had dominated entire sectors, now served in joint peacekeeping forces with human officers. Instead, Jae-sung continued, "We chose a different path. We chose to build rather than destroy, to heal rather than harm. to create a galaxy where every species can reach its full potential. In the back of the chamber, Admiral Yang In-suk watched the proceedings with quiet satisfaction. Her peacekeeping fleet had not fired a shot in anger for 18 months. Instead, her ships spent their time exploring unknown regions of space, protecting trade routes, and assisting in disaster relief efforts. Director Moon Si-woo sat in the front row, reviewing reports from the Galactic Rehabilitation Program. His teams had been working with former consortium worlds to help them adapt to the new reality. The results were remarkable. Crime rates had dropped by 90%, economic productivity had increased by 400%, and interspecies conflicts had virtually disappeared. The question you might ask, President Jae-sung said, is how this transformation happened so quickly. How did a galaxy that had been torn by war and oppression for thousands of years suddenly become peaceful and prosperous? A delegate from the Andromedan Collective raised one of her four arms. President Ko, many of our people still don't understand. Human technology seems to violate everything we thought we knew about physics and economics. How do you create prosperity without scarcity? How do you eliminate want without destroying motivation? Jae-sung smiled. The answer lies in understanding what makes humans different. Not better, but different. Human minds work in ways that complement the thinking of other species. Where you see problems, we see puzzles to solve. Where you see limitations, we see challenges to overcome. Dr. Seo Dong-wook, now serving as the director of Interspecies Technology Exchange, stood to address the assembly. For too long, the galaxy believed that advancement meant competition, that for one species to succeed, others had to fail. Human philosophy is based on a different principle, that intelligence is not a zero-sum game. He gestured to a holographic display that showed the current state of galactic civilization. Trade networks that spanned dimensions, manufacturing systems that could create any needed resource from basic matter, communication networks that allowed instant contact across impossible distances. Human technology doesn't just improve efficiency, Dong-wook explained. It improves possibility. We don't just make things faster or cheaper. We make things that were previously impossible become routine. In the audience, a former consortium admiral who had once commanded fleets against human colonies spoke up. Dr. Seo, I must confess something. My species ruled this galaxy for 3,000 years. We thought we understood power, but what you've shown us, it makes our greatest achievements look like children's toys. And yet, Dong-wook replied gently, your people are more prosperous and happier now than they ever were under the old system. That's not coincidence. That's what happens when different types of intelligence work together instead of against each other. Captain Shin Woo-jin entered the chamber, still wearing the uniform of the Ghost Division. His stealth fleets had become something unthinkable. Exploration vessels. Ships that could go anywhere, see anything, learn everything, but use their abilities to map unknown regions and contact isolated civilizations. President Ko, he reported, we've made contact with the distant reach civilizations. Species that have been cut off from galactic society for millennia. They're requesting membership in the cooperative. Are they ready for the transition? Jae-sung asked. More than ready. When they learned about human technology and philosophy, their first question was how quickly they could integrate their societies with ours. The former consortium supreme chancellor, now serving as an advisor to the rehabilitation program, looked up from his notes. Captain, I don't understand. These civilizations had no contact with humans before. Why would they trust us so quickly? Captain, Shin smiled. Because we didn't come to them as conquerors or traders. We came as teachers and students. We shared our knowledge freely and asked them to share theirs. When people see that you're genuinely trying to help them improve their lives, trust comes naturally. Dr. Ryumi Young, who had become the galaxy's leading expert on interspecies psychology, added her analysis. The old consortium model was based on fear and control. Species obeyed because they were afraid of punishment. The human model is based on hope and cooperation. Species participate because they want to see what they can become. President Jae-sung moved to the center of the chamber. But perhaps the most important change is not in our technology or our economy. It's in our understanding of what civilization means. The massive display screens around the chamber showed images from across human space. Children of dozens of different species playing together in schools that taught both individual, cultural traditions and universal principles of cooperation. Scientists from formerly hostile civilizations working side by side to solve problems that had puzzled them for generations. Artists creating works that combined the aesthetics of multiple species into something entirely new. Under the consortium, Jae-sung continued, civilization was about order, about control, about making sure that everyone stayed in their assigned place. Human civilization is about growth, about possibility, about helping every being reach their full potential. A delegate from a species that had been enslaved for over 1,000 years stood up. President Ko, my people have a question that many are afraid to ask. You have the power to rule us. Your technology, your intelligence, your military strength. You could dominate the galaxy easily. Why don't you? The chamber fell silent. It was the question that many species had been wondering about but hadn't dared to voice. Jae-sung was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice carried the weight of human history, of centuries of slavery and oppression, of the long journey from bondage to freedom. Because, he said simply, we remember what it was like to be ruled by others. We remember the fear, the helplessness, the crushing weight of knowing that your life belonged to someone else. No species should ever experience that again. Admiral Yang stood up in the back of the chamber. The questioner asks why we don't rule you, but you're asking the wrong question. The right question is, why would we want to? She walked down the aisle toward the center, her footsteps echoing in the silent chamber. Humans learned something during our centuries of slavery, she continued. We learned that real strength doesn't come from controlling others. It comes from helping others become strong themselves. A galaxy full of free, prosperous, advancing civilizations is infinitely more interesting and valuable than a galaxy full of slaves. Director Moon added his voice to hers. The consortium fell because it was built on a foundation of weakness. It needed others to be inferior in order to feel superior. Human civilization is built on a foundation of strength. We become stronger when everyone around us becomes stronger too. As the session continued, delegates shared reports from their home worlds. Crime was disappearing not because of harsh punishments, but because societies were eliminating the conditions that created criminals. Poverty was becoming a historical curiosity, not because of wealth redistribution, but because human technology had made scarcity itself obsolete. Wars were ending not because of overwhelming military force, but because the causes of conflict were being resolved before they could escalate. The transformation you see, President Jae-sung said as the session drew to a close, is not the result of human dominance. It's the result of human partnership. We don't lead this galaxy. We serve it. A young delegate from a recently contacted civilization raised her hand. President Ko, what happens next? Where does this lead? Jae-sung smiled, and for a moment he looked not like a galactic leader, but like the mining engineer he had once been, dreaming of freedom in the depths of an alien mine. Next, we keep growing. We keep learning. We keep helping each other become more than we ever imagined we could be. Because that's what humans do. We don't settle for what is. We work toward what could be. As the delegates filed out of the chamber, returning to their ships and their worlds, the galaxy continued its quiet revolution. On 1,000 worlds, humans and aliens worked side by side, building a future that neither species could have achieved. Alone, the debt had been paid. The slaves had become partners. and the galaxy had learned that the most powerful force in the universe was not domination, but cooperation.